Hello and welcome to Almost 30 Podcast.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the show. It's Lindsay and Krista, best friends, joining you from LA.
And you don't need to be 30 to listen. You don't need to be almost 30 to listen. It was just the age that we were when we started the show many moons ago.
If you're going through change, any type of transition, which you inevitably are because you're a human being, we hope the podcast is supportive and just reminds you you're not alone. We're all kind of going through it. We talk about health and wellness, spirituality, and thanks for being here. OG listeners, hello. And anyone new, thank you so much for subscribing.
I was just thinking about the almost 30 with dating, because if I don't usually talk about it with men that I date, but there was one man that found my name and was like, I listened to the show. Very impressive. I was like, which episode? And it was an episode with you. He's like, I don't know which one, if you were, he's like, I didn't know if
you were her.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think he listened to an episode that you did with someone,
Totally.
Jillian Turecki, actually. And he was like, it was really impressive. I'm like, I don't.
It's like when people DM me about like a Krista solo episode. I'm
100%.
like, I'll pass you the news.
Yeah, honestly. I just left it. I was like, if you're impressed, this works. I was like, sounds great. I'm going to look really different in person.
How do people not Google you? Do you Google the guys?
I do not. I do not Google them. I do not look them up. I don't look them up on Instagram.
Yeah.
I want no data or information because that's just not fair. I don't want people to do that to me.
Totally.
Because honestly, whenever I have like
You find a Google image that
you find things you don't
pick
like.
apart.
No, honestly, it's unlikely you'll find everything that you like.
Yeah, because if it's like a corporate guy, you're like, your LinkedIn profile picture is horrible.
Exactly. And I'm like, oh, you shared a post from like Bill Gates. Okay. I'm like, you liked a post from like your old coworker that just got promoted. Like, I'm like, I don't want to look at your cringe on LinkedIn. I don't want to look at your cringe on Instagram. I don't want to see you've made a reel at Burning Man. Like, I don't want to see a single thing.
Yeah, 100%.
I want to meet you in person and then decide if I like you or not. And then I can maybe do a little digging.
Yeah.
I had that literally just the other day. There's a guy, I liked his post from 2017. We don't follow each other. Don't know we have each other. Literally,
You can
I did really quick.
Okay.
And I
don't
was
know
like,
if it shows.
and then I did something else with this man, and I was like, am I subconsciously trying to fumble the bag?
Yeah.
I think I was. I was like, I'm
just
trying to fumble the
yourself,
bag.
You know?
That's what I said. I was like, whatever, dude. Who cares?
Whatever. Honestly, who cares?
Who cares?
At the end of the day. We were just laughing before you were talking about having like a body worker come to
my
your
God.
house.
Dude, I had this amazing body worker come to my house, and then he got creepy, as they always do.
Yeah, dude.
I was like, you're just using too much oil on my body, and you're taking too much time, and the moves are just sexual now.
Yeah, dude.
I was like, why do you keep spending a lot of time on my butt?
I just feel like it's always risky to invite someone into your home.
For sure.
It's always a risk, but it's also so convenient. I had like a pelvic floor specialist and she does house calls. I was like, oh, perfect. And like overall she was amazing, but I didn't necessarily realize like what was like kind of standard about these types of appointments. So you have to go like you take your bottoms off, get on the floor, get on a yoga mat, get on your couch because you're at home and she's fingering you. Yes. And just feeling around, like asking you to do different breathing exercises while her fingers are inside of you. She's checking things like coughing, it's like all these things. And I was like, all right. I felt comfortable. She was amazing, super like professional, always telling me what she's about to do.
Cool.
But I'm like, if I tell my husband that like this, I just had like a woman fingering me in our home. Like,
I know.
It's just such a weird thing that I was like, another day.
Yeah, another day.
Another treatment.
It's funny because you're like, hello, nice to meet you.
Oh, yeah.
And then you're like, bust it wide open.
Like, sounds good.
I feel like once I like understood the pelvic floor thing and how once I understood it from like a physical perspective, even like an athlete, it's like these are muscles in your body that are constantly contracting in a way that like is not serving you and is not healthy all the time. Mm-hmm. And you need to encourage them to relax.
Yes.
Because of fear or trauma or stress. It's like, wow, seeing them as muscles really helped me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. She gave me like a visual of how it's like a bowl.
Yeah.
A bowl kind of muscles.
Yes.
And one thing that I've like always done that isn't necessarily good, I have like a pee thing before bed where like I just need to pee. Even if I don't have to pee, I'll sit down and just get a little trickle out. It's not good.
Why?
You got to train your bladder to hold more.
What?
Yeah. Just
sometimes I'm just like, I don't stop. Like,
I still do it.
What's the point?
It's one of those things I'm not going to change.
Yeah.
Because it's a mental thing for me.
Yeah. It's like, I don't want to wake up in the middle of the night.
Yeah. And I don't want to like lay in bed and just think I have like a little bit more pee to give. So
I always have to do before I speak on stage or something. I have to pee like 100 times. Like, oh my God, I'm so nervous.
Yeah. Anyway.
Sometimes in the middle of the night, the babies will wake me up. And last night they woke me up at like 3 thinking it was time to wake up.
Oh.
Dude.
What is the wake up? It's just a meow.
It's like,
or stepping
it like
on bed.
gets louder and louder, and then they'll just be like parkouring all over the room in the middle of the night. Literally, it's like parkour, like jumping on the ledge, jumping on the desk, chasing each other. They'll be above me. They'll be around me. They'll be in my face.
Oh my God,
girl!
It's preparing you for children.
It is preparing me for children. It's like, yeah, this morning was 3:20 a.m. And I said, ladies, we have 2 more hours. I want you to lock in. I want you to lock in and get serious. We got 2 more freaking hours. Okay?
They listen?
Yeah, they do actually listen.
Oh, that's good.
When I say, because I'm stern.
Yeah.
I'm like, 2 hours, you guys. Stop.
Yeah.
3:30. Well, also, I go to bed so early. They're like, girl, are you dead?
Yeah. They're like, we need you.
They're like,
alive.
are you depressed? It's been 8 p.m. You've been in bed every night and you're sleeping until 6 or 7. They're like, no, we're doing this for your health.
I know, dude. I went to bed I was to bed at 8 too. I was like, we done.
So nice. I did 9:30 last night. I watched this cheer, the Dallas Cowboys cheer. Have you seen it?
So I seen one episode. I haven't like kept up with it. I need to continue. Yeah.
I loved it.
I don't get you don't get to like watch TV like
100% for sure.
I love it when I do get to. Oh my God. I'm like fucking sprawled out on the couch.
You realize how much you enjoy Little Tube.
Oh yeah. What do you love about it?
I just love the honesty of like, we need girls that look and act and are a certain way.
Yeah.
And we're not going to dance around it.
Totally.
We're not going to be PC about, we want you to feel good in your body. It's like, no, you need to have long legs. And you need to be able to kick those legs up to your forehead on command. And you need to be shining and bright and and it's like, I just love
100%.
Because it's excellence. It's like they're trying to just achieve excellence. It is a little toxic for sure. And it's just, you follow these girls in it. Like, dude, it's just so crazy.
And it's kind of, it's crazy, but it's just another version of when someone has a dream and they want it so badly. It's just like something I wouldn't necessarily think of, but like to be a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader is like everything for someone.
For sure. Everything.
Which is, and I think what I have a hard time understanding and actually having a problem with is like, they're not compensated properly. So like,
what do you mean?
I'm like, you all are beautiful, talented. You're providing a lot of entertainment. You are a part of like the face of the franchise. You should be compensated, and you're practicing your, what's off. You should be compensated correctly.
That was the thing. I was like, why isn't anyone talking more about this? Like they mentioned it in the show that they weren't, like they probably made $20,000.
Oh, that is insane.
Oh, and that should be the whole point of it, actually, to make them get compensated more. Because these women, they were like doctors, accountants, like.
Are they doing that at the same time?
Yeah.
While they're in season?
Oh, yeah.
But the practice schedule is so intense that like, how can you?
It's like 7 to 10 p.m. And then like they have games on weekends. You can't do anything else.
That's insane.
It's like you cannot do anything else.
That makes me sad.
There was one lady that was like, back in our day, she's like, these Gen Zers and millennials, she's like, they aren't grateful. Back in our day, we were just grateful to wear the uniform. I was like, and you're
literally,
and it was like 5 cents for like a life.
I know.
And also who's paying? Who's paying? Someone's paying for your life. Who? Dad? Man? Or you? Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, how are you? Yeah, that was a part where I'm like, but it's funny because the woman at the top, she's Jerry Jones's daughter, I think, chief brand officer. I mean, it's a woman that's not paying them more.
Yeah, 100%.
Like she could totally pay them more.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, so Why aren't women support? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Can we take just a slice from the players' salaries?
I mean,
just a little slice.
Just a slice.
Just consider it a tip.
Consider it a tip. Because that's the whole thing is the girls, the cheerleaders, they do meet and greets. They have calendars. Like, it's crazy. Dude, I'm just laughing. One of the girls, so sweet. She's like so religious. She's so Christian.
Oh, yeah. I feel like I saw that
so sweet.
one.
She's like, I just want to be a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader to celebrate his glory. She's like, I just want to showcase his glory and I want to dance in his glory. And I'm like, girl, you are moving your body like a cyclone and you look like a fucking,
obsessed with that.
Like the way that woman was dancing was insane. And I was like, this is
all glory to God.
All glory to God. And she's like twerking, like it's like up, down, side to side. I'm like, whoa. She was like a princess angel and then the sexiest dancer I've ever seen.
That's kind of amazing.
It was dope. Like it made you want more. You were like, wow, what's up with this?
Totally. What church do you go to?
Yeah, like what are you working on? Anyways, so today's episode, we have Adriana from Anima Mundi Herbals. Anima Mundi is such a beautiful company that we've worked with for a long time. They have amazing plant medicines. It's animamundiherbals.com. And it's an apothecary. So you can get tons of really beautiful tinctures, adaptogens, supportive herbs, plant medicines to support you in relaxation and energy and spirituality, in mood and brain health. You can get digestive support. They have essential oils. I love their blue lotus, which is amazing. It's like this beautiful flower of intuition. They used it in Egypt a lot in my drinks. I love her coconut cream, a dairy-free creamer. She has collagen boosters that are vegan. She has an amazing lucid dreaming kit. So if you're interested in lucid dreaming, you can lucid dream with her products. And then my very favorite is her Herbal Astrology deck. So I am a connoisseur of decks. I've created my own deck, but her deck is so amazing. It's an Herbal Astrology deck. So it's basically plants, astrology, and like history and mythos. It's the most interesting, fascinating deck. It's like you'll pull a card and it's like psilocybin. Psilocybin is related to Mars, which is related to this character in history, which is related to this planet. It's like it's crazy. Because I didn't know that plants were correlated to astrology. So actually there's like we talked a lot about this on the episode, and I might be saying this wrong, so don't come at me. I think there's something called pharmaceutical astrology or there's like medical astrology. So the astrological ties of the planets and astrology to certain types of plants that help people from a medicinal perspective. And then seeing different planets on each of your fingers of your hand. We went through all the planets that correlate to the fingers on your hand and the power of each finger of your hand. But there's so much depth to like the connection between plants and nature and astrology in the sky, like as above, so below. So much of what's happening on Earth is also happening in the cosmos. So we kind of explored that a little bit in this conversation, and it just was like fascinating to me.
Yeah, she's so powerful. And I also I've always considered their brand, like I just gravitate towards brands that I can trust without thinking, and I feel like whether it's where they source, who they're working with to grow certain plants, and all of that, like they've always just taken so much care, and you have to be really careful out there now.
Yes.
With products, because they're not always sourced ethically or they're made with fillers or what have you. So yeah, Anima Mundi is always the brand that I go to.
And Adriana, she's like a master herbalist.
Yes.
She has so much experience. She grew up in Costa Rica. She's like on the farm. A lot of the products are grown on the farm in Costa Rica. And she's someone that I just deeply trust as like an intuitive, a spiritual advisor, someone that has a really unique perspective of what's going on Earth. So we did talk a lot about what we see happening in the collective right now, kind of predictions for what's going to be coming in the next couple months, in the next couple years. We talked about love, manifestation of love, how she would manifest love. We talked about which plants and herbs would support her in anxiety, in nervousness, in depression, in feeling lonely, and just kind of went through like her kit, like what sort of things she likes to use to support her in different types of moods and feelings. And this was a winding conversation. I just really love getting the chance to talk to her, and we had so much fun.
Awesome.
And also it's really great. So we have a discount code for y'all. You guys can use the code ALMOST30. So that's ALMOST30 at animamundiherbals.com. That's ANIMAMUNDI herbals.com. That's Anima Mundi Herbals. You can use code almost30 for 15% off, which is incredible. And again, I love so many of their products. I have so many in my little witch apothecary, and I really trust their brand.
Awesome. Thank you, Adriana. Thank you all for listening. Share this episode and so many others with friends. I feel like it's a great conversation starter. We appreciate that. And follow us on Instagram and TikTok. We're having so much fun over there at Almost 30 Podcast. And just to learn more about us, the show, and what we're doing in the world, almost30.com.
Yeah, we love you guys. You can find Adriana at Anima Mundi Herbals on Instagram and animamundiherbals.com. We'll see you on the next one.
Bye.
Bye.
Y'all, I think we can agree. The human body is freaking amazing. It can repair and grow in ways that are still honestly pushing the limits of what science can explain, even in 2025. But as we age, our body's natural healing and building processes slow down. It just is what it is. It's totally normal. But that doesn't mean that there's nothing you can do about it. So collagen is one of the things that starts breaking down. But you can take a collagen supplement. I love Ancient Nutrition for this. I have been using their products for years, and they do it right. Their mission is to create high quality supplements that combine the best of ancient wisdom and modern science. The Ancient Nutrition Multi-Collagen Advanced Lean Supplement is a great one. The multi-collagen in vanilla is one of my favorites. It contains 10 types of collagen from 10 real food-based sources. It's pretty spectacular. It is super, super clean. You will see a difference in your hair, skin, and nails, stronger, more radiant. And I've noticed in my knees, my joint discomfort has drastically reduced. I don't know what it is. Maybe just like giving my son piggyback rides or what, but my knees started hurting. And when I'm on my collagen game, they do not. So it's pretty phenomenal. That Ancient Nutrition Multi-Collagen Advanced Lean, it's delicious and easy to work into your daily routine. This is great for people who are interested in fat loss and healthy weight management. It's just great for your metabolism. It's something you can like put into your morning coffee, your matcha, or your favorite smoothie. It's really, really yummy and easy to mix into anything. So right now, Ancient Nutrition is offering a 25% discount on your first order when you go to ancientnutrition.com/almost30. That's ancientnutrition.com/almost30 for 25% off your first order. ancientnutrition.com/almost30. Oh man, we just moved, and I think the first thing that I did was get us new mattresses. So I actually got Sean and I a new mattress. We have a guest bedroom now. And then also I am preemptively thinking about when Mab moves to a toddler bed. It's going to be a little bit, but hey, time is flying. So I turn to no other than Birch Living for our mattresses. I am obsessed with this brand. Their mattresses are stylish, comfortable, and most importantly, crafted with responsibly sourced materials like organic fair trade cotton, organic wool, and natural latex. It is a luxurious mattress. I am obsessed, and my sleep has been phenomenal, and I really appreciate that as a new mom. But every Birch mattress is constructed with non-toxic materials and a focus on breathability to keep you cool at night. I'm a hot sleeper. I need to make sure, because my husband is not a hot sleeper, and we kind of keep it a little warmer in the room than I would like, but it is a cooling mattress. It just feels so good. I am comfortable. I am cozy. And I love that it's breathable and non-toxic for my son too. When he starts sleeping in a toddler bed, like that's what I care about. So there's no better way to test a new Birch mattress than by sleeping on it in your own home. That's why Birch does a 100-night risk-free trial. It's pretty amazing to see how your body adjusts to it. So they're shipped directly from their facility to your door for free. The mattress comes rolled up in a box, super easy to set up, and you can try it out. And they believe so strongly in their mattress quality that each includes a 25-year warranty. Pretty phenomenal. Okay, and for our listeners celebrating President's Day, this is a sale, major. You're going to get 27% off site-wide, plus 2 free EcoRest pillows with mattress purchase. I want all of you to enjoy a deep, restful night's sleep with a new mattress from Birch. So go to birchliving.com/almost30. You're going to get 27% off site-wide. Pretty amazing. It's exclusive to you all. The best offer
I think when I lived in New York, I didn't subscribe to this, but I felt like New Yorkers had a sense, it was almost like a trauma response of like, we love this city. But when I was there recently, I was like, let's take the subway. I just wanted to kind of get in the vibe. Whoa. I'm not saying LA is that much better, but my nervous system, the sounds of the screeching, the sounds of the, like the overload. Car, the people, like I forgot how closed my aura had to be, I forgot how tight my aura had to be. I forgot how I had to like turn down a lot of senses. And that's actually the thing, you know, probably you living in Costa Rica, like you really can turn up your senses. You can really allow your aura to expand. You can allow your like tentacles of senses to really be in the environment because it's like safe.
Yeah, exactly. And then the jungle is like such a crazy reflective powerhouse that most people can't stand it.
Ooh, say more.
Yeah, because I feel like, I mean, I've grown up in it, so I almost don't know the difference.
Totally.
But I can see how a lot of people that move, let's say, from here to there, like LA to Costa Rica, it's a hard hit because the jungle will just magnify anything you're thinking, give you more of what you're being. Like, it's like instant. It's like instant fire, like land, you know?
Wow.
And I think that's why it's great for ceremony and ayahuasca and all that, which is naturally where the plants are from, and that embodies part of the essence. So I feel like if you're not in it for that, it'll kind of be like a slap in the face. Like, pretty quickly. So I feel like couples they like fall apart, or decoupling becomes like the topic, like day 2. It becomes just such a crazy reality, I think. And I think it's that. But if you know you're just like in a transformational ground, then you kind of let go of like the need to define everything and like not have like a crisis.
Yeah, it's almost like, is it transformation or is it truth, you know? Because like, are you just seeing the truth, say you're in a relationship? Or are you choosing, you know, you're obviously choosing transformation, but I do feel like living in the city, you could be much longer in the roles if you were in a relationship that didn't work.
Yes, more distraction.
More distraction. You're so busy. You're just kind of living parallel lives. You could do the thing. It's funny because I remember being in previous relationships and being like, I could never like live just us somewhere. Like, because I needed the distraction of all the people and all the things. And I don't know if it's healthy or whatever to live just you someplace, but so the jungle as a mirror, do you feel like the jungle has its own consciousness that is specific to Costa Rica? Or tell me more about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think all jungles are the same. Like when I've been to the Amazon, it's very similar. Like they have the similar, I think it's just so alive, so fertile. It changes so much. The weather is so intense. It's like high contrast, like storm, sunlight, and it's part of the vitality. It's part of the essence. And I think like that high contrast is what yields that like fertile, transformative soil. But it could be the same. I'm sure like Indonesia is the same. I'm sure, you know, but people come also with the illusion of paradise, which I think is part of the shattering process as well. Like you go and you're like, I'm in paradise. I left the matrix. I feel great. And then you're like faced with that high transformation, like instant, like in your face. And yes, synchronicities at an all-time high, not always in the best possible way either. Sometimes synchronicity is not that great, you know, if you're not ready or willing, right?
What are some synchronicities for you that you've had that haven't been great? If you can think of any.
That's such a good question. I feel like I stopped doing like these dream lists because things were happening so fast. Like, let's say dream clients, opportunities, projects, and I was just like nearing burnout. And to this day, I'm like nearing burnout that I'm like, okay, I really got to take a step back. Yeah. And so I'm not like wishing for anything anymore. I'm just like, maintaining the garden. I'm in this phase. It's all good. And I don't want to keep doing more. Yeah. So it was just like so much a wonderful abundance coming in. But I was just like, okay, how much is too much?
Yeah, that's actually an interesting thing because I think about that. That's unique. I think it's a unique experience for you. I have that experience as well. It's like when you get to a certain point in life, you actually have to say no more. It's actually not saying yes to life. It's saying no, because then you're like aligned and you have so much coming in that it's like you need to filter and decipher. And it's almost like, I think for me, I got trapped in the other way where it was like, now I'm saying yes to so many, and the burnout is coming because of good things. And it's like, no, that's when you really have to, that's mastery to fine tuning.
Exactly. Like sorting the seed from the dirt.
Yes. Yes.
Because not all seeds are like necessarily for right now.
Yes.
And I feel like the power of discernment and not taking on too much.
Yeah. Was yours like a scarcity mindset that led you to that? Or like just creative inspiration for things? Or what do you think has gotten you to the point where you feel burnout?
I think, just like being excited and like kind of like a wildfire, just being like, yes, yes, yes. Definitely not scarcity. Like I don't do it for the money like at all.
Yeah.
I'm like so in it. I really love it.
Yeah.
I love like helping projects out, from menu design to formulation to just like being there. And I just feel like there's not too many hours in the day, and I'm a mom too.
Yes.
And then the husband situation
Yes.
where I'm just like, if I want to stay married, if I want to have a life, but yeah, he's way too patient with me, thank God. So I feel like that's hardcore, like especially when you have kids and you need the help. I was like, doing that as a single mom would be hardcore.
I mean, I know nothing about motherhood except for just my intuition and then viewing. But I'm like, the single mother thing, I just...
Yeah. But I've seen women rock it. I mean, single moms, hardcore boss women, like decoupling or co-parenting, whatever, and they just rock it. But I feel like it's emotionally exhausting, the process. Right?
What do you think's happening now collectively? Because you've mentioned decoupling a bit, like breakups. What do you think's happening where so many people are breaking up?
I know.
What do you notice?
Crazy. It's funny because I live in a town in Costa Rica where everybody's decoupling, it feels like literally everybody. But yeah, it's kind of far out. And so I thought it was that town, but then I met like several foreigners and expats and they were like, it's Costa Rica. It's not the damn town. And I was like, is it Costa Rica or is it the jungle? And then so it's been an interesting, like, I don't know, I've been kind of evaluating it and be like, what really is it? What the fuck is going on?
I think relationship templates are changing.
Yeah.
I think people are now I think people are less willing to sacrifice.
Yeah.
I think our culture is all about newness. And I think our relationship with dopamine is creating this weird sort of connection. And we're not really interested in investing in something long-term because you feel like you can see, oh, I can just get on the app or I can do all the things. So I think there's really beautiful positive things. Obviously, I decoupled from a long-term relationship that was no longer serving me, and that served my greatest good. But yeah, I think there's a lot. When I said the dopamine thing, what came up for you?
That is so true. I think, the phone, the technology, the constant chronic satisfaction, instant satisfaction, short attention span, satisfaction in the shortness and the instantness. Like, how does that translate into your relationships, right? It's like, oh, this person is not giving me what I want. Okay, done. Next. It's kind of like it becomes like life becomes a phone where you're just like swishing your hand this way and you're just like, okay, going next. And that is terrible. That is terrible.
So I think of like the phrases like main character energy or like stuff like that. I'm like, I get it. I think it's good for some people to kind of be more in their own reclamation of their life. But I'm like, when we see life as a game like that, I don't want to see my relationships like that. I don't want to see people as like players in a game or anything. But I mean, I think we're a culture of avoidance and like people that are just... Yeah, the addiction to your phone too is almost like a binky for people. People just use it as like a self-soothing mechanism, as like the distraction, as the avoidance, as the fantasy, as the dopamine, as so many different things. And it's like an addiction that we're all sort of cool with having. Because we all know we all have it. Yeah. Like people are on it for like 12 hours a day.
But you know what's interesting? Like when I'm here or in these places, I want to be on my phone more. I mean, not that I want to. Oh, I am on my phone more.
Yes.
Like, it's weird. Like, I don't know what is it that I'm just naturally more like, okay, let me check my phone. Let me, like weird, automatic impulse.
Yes.
And when I'm home, I'm definitely not like that. I'm like airplane mode. I don't give a shit. I'll just see what my email has and I'll stick to that kind of thing,
You're like, that's good. It's the consciousness here. You're plugged in. You're like, we are in this. We are doing this thing. And I can notice myself in my brain, like, okay, let's I literally in the morning after my morning routine, I'm like, let's log on. Let's hop into the portal. Let's hop into the to the world and the universe. And then when I'm traveling, I'm like, I don't need to be on my phone. I can be away from it. It's so much nicer.
So much nicer. You can appreciate life, the basics, the humanity.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why healthy dopamine pursuits is a good way to detox technology.
That's a good one. Yeah. What was it like just in your experience, just as an herbalist and someone that's so dialed in all of the areas and so knowledgeable? What would you say for people? Like, how can they find healthy dopamine?
I think like my top favorites, I love psilocybin. I feel like the microdosing has been excellent and like easing the stress enough to recultivate your own neurotransmitters. Right. And I know you're big on the psilocybin, which I love that you're really pulsating that message in your fields. Of course, mucuna, dopamine bean is a classic that is so good. And I feel like that's something that even the non-believers are like, this really worked. Yeah. Oh my God, in my coffee and my protein shake or whatever. And that's good. I mean, not that that's the ideal to overdose on it, but you know, at least it's creating your own boosting that your body can do it biologically. And then there's so many other herbs that just activate the whole neurotransmitter pool, which I love, like the central endocrine system. Rhodiola, Brahmi. Brahmi's been huge for me. I grow it in my garden. We also now in Costa Rica are growing tons of it because it's an Ayurvedic plant, but it grows like in the rainforest. So it's very easy to reproduce and just grow anywhere. Even in North Carolina, you could probably grow it, you know, or rainforesty type areas. But anyways, that one really feels also like easing like the neurotoxin feeling from technology, where you feel like really burnt out on a neural level. That really is mind-blowingly fantastic. Combined with the psilocybin would be a great one.
Wow, that's a good one.
Yeah. And I
like mixing the psilocybin with other herbs.
Yes.
Like a mugwort, rose hips, like just depending on what sort of you're going through, it can really just... They play nicely with other things.
I love lion's mane. It's just more of like a long-term solution, but it's a great cushion. It's kind of like that's your base. And then you have your boosters like Bacopa, which is Brahmi, or Tulsi is a great also for easing mental anxiety. And so kind of making that blend. But yeah, not just like hyper magic mushroom focused.
Yeah, it's like it eases and it creates more creativity.
Yeah.
And kind of I've noticed it helps with the goal. Like, what's my goal? Heart opening, what's my goal? Rewiring, what's my goal? You know, creativity, and it can really support with that. And then also, I think outside of herbs and stuff, like nature. Like, what are your natural things outside of herbs for dopamine?
That's a great one. I've been doing like short-term goal setting with nature, whatever that is. It can be like, I'm going to transform my garden bed and it's going to be done by X date for X season.
I love that.
Right? Just like simple things, not like I am going to be in a food forest by 2025, living off the grid in some frickin' random place. I feel like a lot of people come to Costa Rica with that in mind. Like, I want to have a food forest in an eco-village with a Waldorf school and a whatever. And then it doesn't happen. And then they give up and then they get a divorce and then everything's a shit show.
I need to check your friends. Like, who are your friends are getting divorced right now? Because we need to talk about this offline. We've got friends that are uncoupling and it's a thing.
I know, right? It's funny because I keep seeing a couple influencers talk about their dating app and I'm just like, is this a thing now?
Wait, they have a dating app in Costa Rica?
No, but it's funny. I feel like there is this guy, I don't know if I should mention it, but this guy.
Just say a person.
Carnivore Aurelius.
Okay,
do you know him? He's hilarious. He lives in Costa Rica.
Okay.
And I love his messaging. I mean,
I do too.
He's hilarious. And he started a dating app.
Really?
And he's in Costa Rica, so I was cracking up.
What's the dating app? Like, what is the...
I don't know. I think he has like this underground dating app. It's hilarious.
Okay.
But I was like, cool. If I was a decoupling mom, I'll probably...
Honestly. You're like, if he cuts out that patience, I'm back on that app. There's someone else that's a writer, spiritual teacher that a lot of people would know, but I don't know if they're public with it yet, but they're creating like a spiritually focused dating app. But I'm like, I actually want to... Let's talk about that. Like,
Young Pueblo. Yeah,
is he public about it?
I think he is.
Perfect.
Yeah, I think he is.
Yeah. I'm curious, and this isn't even anything about, he's a friend of the pod. I'm trying to think of how that would work. Like, besides the surface things of astrology, your human design, like, I guess maybe you'd have really deep, meaningful prompts or voice notes, or what would be a way to kind of bypass the dopamine addiction quality of apps?
I know, right? I think, just being less time on the phone.
Yeah. I think maybe having a limit. They'd be like, you have 5 minutes a day. Here's one that we matched for you. Maybe here's their answers to their questions. and then you maybe get to a level of pictures or something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Because I've even, I mean, in my, like, I was on the dating apps for a little bit. Dude. Trying to.
In LA.
In LA.
And how was it?
Or no, I did it mostly when I was traveling.
Yeah.
Which was a pleasure.
Yeah.
Joy and a delight.
That's
but in
fun.
LA.
I mean, it's fun out of like joy and.
It was fun. Yeah. But then in LA, it was a little sus.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you look at pictures of me, you think something different than what I am.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I'm confident in how I look, whatever. But it's like, you just think something different.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's really hard to understand like the multiplicity of someone, the multidimensionality, the depth, like.
It's so true. Especially as we grow older or mature, right? Like it's not the same as like when you were 27.
Yes.
And like kind of like the innocence of meeting people and not understanding wounding and core traumas and the whole thing. But then kind of after 30s, things start changing after 40s also. Like the whole thing, that's been kind of fun to see because I feel like I got pregnant really young.
How old?
Then I resurfaced and I'm like, wait, I'm not that person anymore. And even on a relational level, friends and new friends and whatever, it's like you're just different and you have to kind of like grow up continuously.
How old were you when you first got pregnant?
27 is when I had my baby. So 26.
Okay.
26, 27.
I love because like in normal America, that's like normal age. You're like, I was young.
I felt so young. Oh, yeah. It's like pre-Saturn return.
Oh, pre-Saturn return is a vibe. To do that pre-Saturn return is a vibe.
And then having baby life and Saturn return was tough. But I mean, everything's perfect.
Totally.
Whatever's meant to be.
Totally. Yeah, so with love, because I wanted to ask you about this, for anyone that's listening or for myself, what would you do as an herbalist and as a healer and as just like a very deeply spiritual being if you were looking to manifest love?
I feel like in today's world, with the power of synchronicity, especially realigning to the dopamine that's true to you, that's a whole other thing. So I feel like if we're paying our attention to this phone device all the time, and attention is everything in the manifestation world. If you're paying attention to other people's lives, what they're doing, what they're being all the time, what are you doing? What's your life saying, right? So I feel like the less we pay attention to this empty stuff or just other people, aligning to what really you want, even if it's short term, like what do you want for tomorrow or the next week or this month, not like long-term situations, naturally life will bring you and magnetize you. That's just the law of life, other than just this whole manifestation of like, synchronize your soulmate, which I feel like it can sound so empty and kind of like bullshit. But then you're kind of like, okay, what are you really paying attention to? And we're sold on so many levels, like marketing, mass marketing, people, influencers, social media. It's like, it's really, that addiction is really shaping what you even manifest. It's crazy. And that needs to take a step back.
Wow, that's interesting. It's almost, that's an interesting concept. Like right now, your manifestation is just marketing.
Exactly. Like, what do you, I guess, and that can translate in the most positive way, I guess, like opportunities, dream clients, whatever, right? But is that really everything? Is that really life? Right?
Yeah, I don't really manifest anymore because I'm just like, I realized I was manifesting things that were not necessarily, just didn't really leave enough room for magic for me of like, what does God want for me?
Exactly.
What is like, if I just seek to live in the most alignment, to live in the clearest service, to live in the most truth, to know myself the best I can. And in doing so, I'll know what's for me and what's not. And I'll put myself in the best situations and circumstances to receive the good rather than like being, and I also realized manifestation for me felt very mind masculine. And I want to be more in like alignment, receivership of the feminine, where I was like, I'm in the mind. I'm like going to do the things I'm like in, and it just was like, it didn't feel good.
That is so true. It is a very masculine thing.
Yes. Manifestation.
Yeah. And I think that's such an obsession right now, like getting more, being more, and then burnout.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you would, for love, you look at the dopamine thing, you look at what you're paying attention to on the app. Yeah. What other rituals and practices would you do? And then what herbs would you be doing?
Well, something that like you said, the magic is so important. So everybody's sense of magic is different, right? And I feel like the unknown is the most powerful form of playing with magic. And so I do feel like if you talk to anybody that's like met their soulmate or a true life partner, it's always in random occurrences. It's like, I went to the yoga class and blah, blah, blah. Or it's not really like the bar thing as much anymore. I feel like people are going out for conscious experiences and then naturally it happens because it's in the environment that you want to manifest. So I think doing that, being in places and situations that you love and being spontaneous about it, not just like your scheduled life, hyper scheduling life, I feel like for me just doesn't work. So I think like if a friend invites you to that one wild fire dance party, wherever the hell it is, and things like that, I think has really opened up and dilated, even finding new friends for myself or connecting with new circles and being in that, I think is really special. So
I love that, leaving space in your schedule for magic.
Yeah, and spontaneity.
Saying yes.
And doing things that are kind of random, like even if it's not like your truest essence, it doesn't matter. Right? Like just taking a class or visiting somebody somewhere or just kind of doing the thing you never did. I think that's really special.
Wow.
And then one of my ultimate favorites is working with herbs for love. I think it's always a special one and everyone really loves that because it's all the heart healers. They're the classic herbs used in like potion making for manifesting love. Classic Damiana, which I'm sure you know. Even in Mexico, it's used a lot infused in tequila and mezcal and old rituals. And I mean, that can also be a tincture in whichever way. So that's a classic one used in love potions. All the heart healers, even in North America, hawthorn berries is a classic. Rose hips. The elements of rose have always been used for thousands of years.
Yeah, I think in your deck, which I love, that talks about rose. Like, what's the connection between rose and the planets, rose and history? Like, there's a really beautiful, like, tapestry of rose.
Yeah, rose has an incredible history, and it's very deep and very rich. Since pre-Egyptian times, like, we were talking about Babylon and all those ancient, like, Sumeria, there was, like, rose cultivations till the eye could see. It was just, like, mass amounts of rose cultivated. And it was for spiritual purposes, for perfumery, for anointing the body, for beauty rituals, sensual rituals. So it's really powerful to see how they were very tapped in. And interestingly enough, that in the times of Babylon, that's when medical astrology was really born. So, I mean, as far as we understand in written form, I'm sure it even predates that, we just don't know. But in those ancient texts is when they really speak on like rose follows Venus, Jupiter transits. So they even knew to grow rose on specific astrological transits. They knew to administer it based on natal charts and people that came to their doctor. So a doctor was a medical astrologer. It was not like this woo-woo dude at the corner of somewhere. It was like a doctor had to practice astrology. So I have no idea how they were able to really have natal charts at that time. They obviously were very plugged in, connected people. And so they would go to the doctor. And then let's say if you were healing a heartbreak or grief or attracting love, rose was always a classic one, which I think is so beautiful. So it's kind of like taps into all those fields, but same core healing fundamental.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's really fascinating. Medical astrology is like so far out.
Yeah, can you say more about it?
Yeah, it's hard for a lot of people to even believe, like, how much were they really charting? Like, how are we not already thousands of years later, like that much more advanced even compared to that, with an evolution.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is that astrology was made illegal like thousands of years later. Like I think in like the 1800s.
It was made illegal?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
1800s, I forget, it's like 1870 something. It was made illegal. So doctors could not practice it. Like even Hippocrates, the father of modern medicine, was an astrologer. And he even, one of his famous quotes is like, you're not a doctor if you're not an astrologer. And that was like a few hundred years ago. That's not even like that far.
But that's so crazy because they strip his stuff and they use him as the. Wow,
it's crazy.
That's and I just want to say this because it's in my brain. So in modern medicine, they use Hippocrates as like they take the Hippocratic oath, but yet they stripped the information that they didn't want from him.
Exactly,
like they do so often.
So often, it was made like as if it was this witchy thing, witchcraft, like. Nonsense, not based on anything, and it's not the truth whatsoever. Yeah, so much medical astrology. So they were able to see at that time that just because of the conjunction of specific planets when you were born, the propensity of specific diseases that you could manifest in your life, which is like so obvious in the law of frequency, right? You're attracting specific frequencies potentially let's say if you develop uterus cancer by age 55 or something like that. So all that was already pre-known, specific timelines in your life where you could have like a specific sickness and imbalance. And then where did all that go?
Wow. I wonder why don't people do medical astrology now? I had a reading one time by someone. She's like, "Are you well?" And I was like, "Yeah, I think I'm well." She's like,
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. She's like, "I don't know how long that will be, but..."
Do you feel comfortable sharing specific aspects
of my chart? Yeah. Something in Saturn.
That's right. You're from Ohio.
Ohio, baby.
Wow.
It's where all the greats are from.
Wow. You have South Node on your ascendant. I know. Isn't that dope? That is. That's why you're so personable and lovely. Like people are probably like, I know you from somewhere.
If that's the one thing people are like, it's like an old friend.
Mm-hmm.
I feel
you really have that.
I've known you. I feel comfortable with you.
That's beautiful.
It's nice.
Yeah, it's like immediately healing. Like they're like, I feel comfortable.
Yeah, and then it's a lot of pressure because people always want to be around me.
Wow, so interesting. Mars.
I got a lot of Capricorn in there too. Earth, a lot of Earth.
Saturn, Uranus. Yeah, and the Sun, North Node, a go-getter to the highest degree.
Mm-hmm.
Give yourself a break sometimes. Yes. Talk about burnout. Oh my God.
I know. That's so. I run. My sister said that to me the other day. She's like, one thing, being your sister, you just you just have to get used to the pace that you're running. It's just.
And Jupiter, Venus, that's really powerful. I love that. Venus is exalted in Taurus.
Yep. Yeah. That's love.
Yeah.
So my man's going to be rich.
Yeah, and speaker of love, speaker of healer of that kind of world and for people. And then Jupiter being like the wise one, bringing all those teachings to people, for people.
And that's the midheaven in Gemini too, is that teacher.
But it's great because Venus in Taurus, you being such an earth body type, that means that it's already harmonized. So that's really great. That's a super plus, as far as health only, not like spiritual purpose, life purpose kind of thing. So that's really, really
I think
great.
that also helped me mastering that or really figuring that out is like I teach a lot with body love and acceptance. And I think that's where that came from, was like being able to really be in that. So you don't see where I'm sick or ill.
Not at all. I mean, the classic ones to track is Mars and Saturn for like sickness and death or whatever.
So basically for anyone that wants to see if they have any ailments, they would check Mars and Saturn.
Yeah, those are the classic ones. So Mars, those are the two... They call it like malefic planets because they bring kind of like chaos, catharsis, crisis, death. So those are like even death transits, which I don't like to do like predictive astrology because, life is free will. You can always change. But those are the ones you chart. So they would always chart that, like where your Mars is. So let's say because Mars naturally runs hot and it's yang and it might just bring inflammation specific to that area. You would have it, for example, in Capricorn, which guess where Capricorn rules? Being so Capricornian, do you know where in the body Capricorn is?
That's a great one. The stomach?
Bones, skeletal system.
The womb.
But it's a good guess because the opposite of Capricorn is Cancer, and Cancer is the stomach.
Okay.
So there is a relationship.
I was picking up something.
Yeah.
No, okay, so Capricorn rules the bones?
Bones, skeletal system. So for example, could be like maybe propensity to breaking bones or weakened bone marrow or even benefiting from bone marrow supplements type of thing. Organ meats. That's very good for Capricorn placements. If you're vegan, obviously, you can just change that to mean different things.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would be mostly it. And you have it in Capricorn. So that would be the spot to look at. Skeletal system. Then hair is a classic marker. If there's any kind of weakness, look to the hair. But your hair is like
that's great.
Voluptuous.
Voluptuous, like both ours. But I do notice, it's funny, I don't know, the hair obviously being like a spiritual antenna. I will notice different periods in my life, my hair will be a totally different expression. It'll be wavier, it'll be thicker, it'll be whatever. Okay, back to medical astrology. So how would you... Because so many women are going to be so incredibly fascinated by this, and we've never talked about this. So how would you define medical astrology? Would it be like using the stars and the blueprint of your natal chart to further understand your own system?
Yeah.
Or as above, so below, too?
Exactly. So medical astrology is rooted in that as above, so below. So meaning all the planets are signaling everything inside your body. So even in ancient alchemical drawings, you see like the alchemical man, which is essentially, or man woman. It's like, it can be just a shape, and it shows all the different zodiac pieces in the body. So it already shows where we carry it in our own body. So naturally, we all have that. But the placements of the planets are signaling the specific parts of your body that are exalted or not, showing the balance or imbalance. So that's where we would turn to Mars and Saturn to be like, just baseline, not even analyzing aspects, but baseline would be like, okay, if you have the hot, energetic, inflammatory planet in the skeletal region, or even if it's in the feet, or let's say in the head, Aries. So that would be a specific meaning. Wow. So I know a lot of people, for example, that have Mars in Aries, which is technically exalted. Mars, the rulership is Aries. Mars is in its highest placement in Aries. A lot of people can have also migraines, can have hot head.
I was going to say hot head.
Yeah, can naturally have more potential of accidents regarding the head. Anger.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that wouldn't be my favorite Mars placement.
Yeah. And also like eyes, like inflamed eyes, like just irritated eyes, like little symptoms like that. So the old texts embody all that. Like they have everything to the T, what might happen with each placement.
Wow.
Which is really, really interesting. So ancient physicians use that as a guide. We now can use it as a guide, but I'm sure it's very filtered and it's very partial to what existed because it was very detailed.
Wow.
Yeah, it's very amazing. So then even on top of that, then ancient doctors did the same. They're like Mars planets, plants, Jupiter plants, Venus plants. And so also like if you need to exalt the Venus and let's say an earth placement or fire placement, then they would pair it with the plant.
Yeah, I wanted to really talk about that because I have your herbal astrology deck and I literally love it. I knew it was going to be good because it's you, but it's so good. Like, it makes me emotional. It's just so good because it's like history, astrology, herbs, like cool things about Greek literature. Like, it's like everything that's cool and everything that I'm interested in one, and I didn't know that they connected. So can you talk about, the relationship, and I know this is the highest level question, but it's really, I don't know, I'm learning it, the relationship between plants and the planets.
Mm-hmm. I love that, and thank you. Even going back to Capricorn, so for example, comfrey is a classic one that we see growing all over California.
Oh, okay.
Beautiful European plant that was always analyzed as this Capricornian, Saturnian plant.
How is that? How? Like just the energy of it, or
exactly, so energetic. So even like when you pull comfrey and you pull like the stems,
yes,
it has these like fibers that are just like very like sticky-ish that are very woven.
Cool.
So they already doctrine the signature says the plant embodies what it does. So that in itself is already showing that it perhaps helps like heal tissues, heal like any kind of tendon issues or cartilage or broken bones, because it was also very sticky. And when you steep it, it has this mucilaginousness to it. So that's already embodying a certain nature of what Saturn would need. So Saturn usually runs like dry and astringent. So it needs comfrey to heal the Saturnian imbalance. Or Saturn in its balance would not create that kind of like dry, astringed tissue. So medical astrologers were classically assigning comfrey to drink. But now comfrey is not even suggested for internal use, which is absolutely insane.
No way.
There's ways to use it, and they were using it internally even back then. So now it's always used as like a topical plant to like heal broken bones, But it's so much more than that. But going back to Saturn, so a lot of the shape of the plant also is very symbolic to what it does. The roots of it as well. So yeah, just
can I have some examples of maybe more examples of shapes and what plants look like and what they do?
Mm-hmm. Off the top of my head, I would say turmeric is a classic one, very popular. Golden milk, you see it everywhere now. Mm-hmm. When you harvest turmeric, it's like super bright yellow. It naturally is just very abundant. You kind of like grow it with ease. You throw the roots, it will sprout. Suddenly you see that the family grows and grows and grows. You don't even have to maintain it in the garden. So that is a very solar expression. So it's almost like a natural to think like, oh, turmeric is the sun, So great solar imbalance is in the chart, which is the sun is where like your birthday is. So your birthday is classically just the sun placement for those that don't know. So imbalances to the sun or tough solar transits, turmeric is a great ally to turn to, which is really special.
Wow. What would be a good one for a moon?
Mood. Let me think.
For moon.
Oh, moon.
Yeah.
Artemisia. Did you just talk about Artemisia?
No,
actually?
not yet.
Oh, I was just talking about it with somebody. So Artemisia family, which is a big family. It's like wormwood, mugwort, and all the others. There's tons of medicinals. They all have that signature silvery look. So the moon is very associated to silver. It also is. Silver is one of the classic stones. So a lot of the silver plants have that signature.
Wow.
But other than that, I would say like more of the historical uses has just been so deeply embedded to psychic work, witchery, and that kind of like the mystical, eclectic arts. But on a signature level, I would say other than the silveriness, I wouldn't specifically. Oh, maybe the shape has a very interesting leaf shape.
Yeah.
Shows kind of like it has just like a witchy look.
Cool.
I don't know. It just kind of gives that energy.
Yeah.
But maybe just to me. I don't know.
I know, honestly. You're like, you know why? Because when I ask them, they tell me that. The plants let me know.
Yeah. It like really gives that kind of like white sage. Classic lunar plant.
Yeah.
Grows all over.
It looks like, it just looks like a mystic with a beard. Mm-hmm. You know, you're like, oh, wow, that's a very.
It has that super silver tone.
Yes.
So a lot of the witchy plants are very silvery.
Wow. Mm-hmm. So in the deck too, it's cool because there's also the correlation between like Egyptians and like the Greeks and Sumerians or Mesopotamia. Can you talk a little bit about like, is the connection because they would use these plants as like healing or they first documented them?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I think they had such a rich understanding of plants. And if you see even like those old texts, which now they refer to them as like these strange archetypal drawings showing like a plant looking like a man, I don't know, eating a baby or some random depiction, you know, that you'd be like, oh, that doesn't mean anything, but it means so much. Like they already understood the archetypal world of plants. And I feel like now that this association is so heavy for millions of reasons, but now we just see like, oh, what is the scientific use? What is the medicinal use of the plant? And there is so much more to the story. And that's how it was lived. So ancient physicians spoke about the plant as if it's a personality, like a person. And that's how it was understood. So like, let's say like Hippocrates, classic. It's like the classic quote, it's not what kind of disease the person has. It's more of what kind of person has the disease.
Wow.
So it's kind of understanding plants in the same way. It's not just the medicinal use. It's more of like what kind of persona that has and what kind of frequency is matched with that. So yeah, so I think that's really fascinating. Yeah. We have such a different orientation with nature in that sense in modern world.
Yeah, it's almost like, I guess then with the Hippocrates thing, it would be like the person, why are they a match vibrationally for that disease? Like what about their frequency would you say that is?
The personality.
Yeah, the personality or the part.
Yeah, which medicinal action is a personality, but it's not like, it's kind of like if I spoke about you, it's like, let's say I'm talking about someone's career or something. Oh, they are a pharmacist. Like that's just what they do, but what is their personality?
Yeah.
You know, which is so much more than just what you're doing.
Yeah.
So
I've been thinking about this lately. This is kind of weird, but I've been thinking about like how I think people love astrology and human design because it helps them contextualize and like have words for their personality. Because I don't think a lot of people, and I look forward to doing this with my kids, didn't have a parent that was like, and you don't want to impose, but you kind of want to guide and be like, wow, you're so, you know, you have such great attention to detail, or you're such a great listener, or you know, I don't think a lot of people had their personalities cultivated and they just had the ego part of them cultivated, or they just had specific aspects that were beneficial for their jobs or looked good for their parents cultivated. So they actually don't really know who they are in a lot of ways.
It's so true. But I wonder if it was just not so commodified with modern day language. I feel
that's a good one. Say more.
I feel like now...
I don't even know what you're going to say, but you said commodified language. And I said, yes, I think that's right.
I just feel like there is just, which is great. Like you go on Instagram or whatever and all these psychological analysis of attachment styles, which is great.
This is what I want to
even my
rip
mom's
on.
like, I wish I knew that when I was a kid, you know, stuff like that. But I feel like the simplicity of life was very different back then, even for our parents and way before that. And then life was just understood differently.
Totally.
But there was still an energetic component. It was not just like chop wood, carry water, you know? So I feel like the over processing of emotional realities is also part of like the big disconnect that's happening right now.
I just had a session with this, I see often just like a variety of healers and people just to kind of explore what's out there. And I was meeting with this Kabbalistic healer and we did this like tycoon healing. It was very interesting. And in it, it was really powerful because the work, after he said I was incredibly guarded, which I normally am in healing sessions, he was talking about, he's like, you're very mental in your processing. He's like, you're processing a lot and very mental. And you're very like, okay, what about this? What about this? What about this? And he's like, but you need to go to the truth. It's like, because when we're at the truth, then you don't actually care about this. Like as an example, in dating, I'm like, if I say this, he's going to say this. If he does this, I'll do this. Or what if you're kind of in this like back and forth of like this. But it's like, the truth is that I know my person is coming. The truth is that I know my person exhibits these qualities. The truth is I know my person will talk to me in this way or do this. So it's like, this situation doesn't matter, or now I know where to go because I have these core truths. And I feel like so many of us don't have access to or not quiet enough to listening to the core truths. So we're just constantly in the mental processing and like the mental dance. And I mean, girl, let me just say, I spend many a time with my friends processing. We enjoy a good up, down, turn around, side to side exploration of humanity and psychology.
Beautiful.
But it's like, it's just wasting a lot of our time. And it is keeping us in this like gridlock state of just constantly here.
Yeah, I feel like it's beautiful. And I definitely could use more of it because I'm a very non-reflective person by nature. But
really,
yeah, I feel like I'm just always like plowing, and that's also not necessarily healthy, you know, like just burning the fire like all the time. So I do really could use more reflective therapies, but I do feel like I have a lot of friends that are that way, and I hold space for a lot of their situations.
Totally.
Which I'm fine with. I feel like I have like an endless energy for it sometimes. I'm just like,
Same.
I don't mind, but I do feel like I'm like, does everything have to have that much meaning? You know, can you just live? Can you just go be spontaneous? Just go show up, do whatever you need to do. Do you need to like make it mean so much? You know, or like if a hawk flew in front of your car, it doesn't mean you have to turn around.
That's the whole spiritual world I can't fucking stand sometimes. I'm like, y'all just need to, like, it's such a dance of everything means everything. Everything means a lot and everything means nothing at the same time.
Exactly.
I posted the other day, I was like, for your own sake, don't try to understand everything.
Exactly.
I think we're just trying to understand everything and every person. And I'll see this happening a lot with women, where because we have this mental capacity and this Herculean strength of understanding, we will do it with men and we'll understand them, we'll process them. We'll be like, okay, their mom was like this. So that's why they're talking to me like this. And then I know at work they're feeling this. So that's probably this. And I know that I'm feeling in my power. So they're probably feeling less than them. And it's like creating this scenario where it's like, they're not living. And then it's not like, it's like making excuses for people. And it's like, you're just engaging with like the information and not the human. It's very weird.
That's so true. That is so true. But that's so beautiful because doing that work is what allows greater space for enlightenment and conscious action and mindfulness and just being a better human, you know, and I really honor that. But I do think there is an excessive obsession over like getting to the root cause of so much at all times that I don't know how productive it really is to the healing experience.
Yeah.
But I do feel like, it's the fine balance, just the fine balance. And same with love. It's like over processing what that person maybe should look like. And then what if that person never shows up in that exact specific way, but yes, in all these other ways? And where is the level of work to do? I don't know. You know,
you're speaking, something's being channeled through you for me. And it's pissing me off because my biggest fear right now is falling in love with someone that's not attractive. That's so vulnerable and so embarrassing. But I've had 3 angels speak through and say that. Don't be so obsessed with the looks. What if this person, da-da-da-da? And my ego is like, no.
What in you do you feel like has to have that, the look has to be a certain way? What do you think?
What about me is that it validates that I look that way. So then I'm validated and I feel safe in the fact that you're attractive because that means that I must be attractive. That is like a currency. It's like a social value and currency that and this is being so fucking, I'm not saying this happily, it's just the truth. That also means that you are desired, you're more social status, you're more desired by other women. I love when the man that I'm with is desired by other women because I love, I love it's like my kink. I like love it. Like, I'm like, nobody's mine. I'm not like, no, he's mine. But I really love to be with a man that's like very desired. I love to be the person that's with that person. And then what else is it doing for me?
That's really clear. I love how much clarity you have with that. That's awesome.
Yeah. If the one thing about me, I'm gonna know me, and I'm gonna know the truth of my shadows. I'm very available to like be.
Well, and I feel like attraction has a very strong suit in the chemistry, but it doesn't have to be attraction as, I hope it's not the attractiveness of what beauty is supposed to be.
Yeah, no.
Based on this like social world, you know, or what society has really.
Yeah, because like my type would probably be different than your type.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? What I'm looking for, whatever. But. And it's not like, and I've dated since I've since I've been dating tons of men. Some of the men haven't been, I wouldn't look at them twice on the street, but they've had this chemistry and this attraction that I've really loved. So I have to remember that too, that I'll fall into that.
That's so true. Like phases that get attracted at specific men, situations, everything.
Yes. Yeah. It's what's weird about it since I've been dating is like, I'll meet men and it's like, and I think this is true, like it's almost like over their auric field is this like thing where I'm just magnetized to it. And then when we're done with our karmic whatever, this thing that'll raise up and then I won't be attracted anymore and we'll be done. Like, and I'll be attracted to someone I wouldn't normally be attracted to because we have some karma that's kind of, deepening our connection or something. But yeah. What's a shadow that you have?
I love that. In the department of love.
Or even in general.
In general, I think that like the hyper non-reflective action, like just like intuitive fire on the spot.
Totally.
No matter what. And that can be damaging to some people. And sometimes I don't even have like the emotional capacity to be like, oh my God, let's go slow. Are you okay? Are we okay? So I can see like, especially in intimate relationships, that can be like, what the hell?
Totally.
Like people get offended. So I do think that I have that sort of, but I feel like I'm entering a phase. Neptune's on my ascendant. I'm entering a phase where I'm like just embodying more of that nurturing feminine quality and not just be like hyper masculine yang all the time, which is exhausting.
Yeah.
So many times I've been wanting to like take that hat off and I just haven't been able to this like, response that we cultivated in our own life for whatever reason as a trauma response, right? So I feel like I'm ready to take that off.
Yes. And that's such a beautiful, thank you for sharing. And I want to explore masculine, feminine more, but such a beautiful, what I love about that is I just trust the soul. The soul is like, we did that. Now, different phase. Now we reflect. Now we integrate. It's like we needed to do this and now we move on.
Exactly.
But I think people would be, I don't know if people have this, if you feel like in your work that people have a perception of you that you're like perfect and that you're like always balanced and with the earth and, in these things. But I think people would be surprised to hear that you feel like you're in your masculine.
Interesting.
And that or maybe it's just me. And that, but I guess working with the earth makes you more feminine. But tell me more about that feeling, because I think most of the women listening feel like they're in their masculine and feel burnt out and feel like they just can't slow down and be in yin.
That is so true. You're right. It's funny because it would be herbalism is so associated to like the earth goddess, feminine energy. And I get that. It's true. A lot of people, but then when I meet a lot of people that would perhaps assume that I'm that way, they're very surprised that I'm also just like this down to earth,
Very
not like
the best
feminine little.
That's what I love about you. I love a lot of things, but that's my favorite thing because it's hard for me. I'm so earth. I'm very like.
I love it. So nice to have earth people.
I love earth
together.
I'm like, I'm like, be here.
Yeah.
I love here, but I love here. And so it's just, you're a person that's like present and with, and maybe that's because you're in the earth all day when you're planting, but, sorry, continue.
Yeah. No, but that makes sense. Yeah. More like, I guess more that go-getter earth energy that just needs to stop on sometimes before I collapse. But yeah, that's so true.
Because it's like, when we think about the doing so much you want to collapse, what's motivating that? Like, do you feel like it's a part of you that has to, what is that?
I'm just in service to this feeling and this mission. It's so strange. I guess that's where it's so dangerous to make your hobby and passion your work life, because then you really never stop. You're doing it for so much more than just like material gratification. It's just, I think it's just this desire to like really continue offering specific medicines to the people, back to the original source of what we're doing, a big purpose to our humanity, you know, and just our everyday life. Like if we didn't have technology and we didn't have all this system that we've been like birthed into, like what would life look like? What would we really be doing on a daily basis? I feel like we would be like tending to the garden, harvesting our medicines, doing community herbalism, visiting the village doctor, you know, like that would be our everyday life. So I feel like we all know that on some fundamental level. And I guess that's my true passion, just like bringing that back and really offering that, not just, yay, let's open another store and everybody's working to death.
Yeah. You're like another graphic goes viral. Yes. You're like, I'm doing it right.
Memes are my purpose.
Yeah, honestly, dude, that's a part of my purpose, to be honest. So a lot of people listening desire to have a purpose and desire to serve and desire to help the planet. What would you suggest for them so they can feel like they're living that more meaningful, aligned life that you live?
Well, it's funny because I always say, you know, like tend the garden, join a community garden, go to nature. And some people are just like, I don't even want that. What else can I do? Or I live in a city. I don't have that capacity. Or I don't have the finances to go for a weekend getaway or whatever. I would say start small. Like, how can you beautify your own home? How can you do, you know, your own home feng shui in that way of bringing in more alive earth energy? Distorting a little bit of the vibration that is in these cities with more alive nature. I think that's a really fundamental way. And then, of course, medicine, rituals, you know, like what kind of teas can you take on a daily basis? How can you cut off caffeine a little more, which is hyper masculinity?
That's my new tick is no caffeine.
Yes.
I think we're going to be a no caffeine world in the next couple of years.
Right. I agree. People are having like, a lot of the times people that are experiencing panic attacks is dehydration and caffeine.
Everyone's like, I'm anxious. Like you rolled out of bed, got on your phone, drank a cold brew and haven't eaten till 1 p.m.
Exactly.
What?
And then you're like,
yeah, honestly.
I know. It was happening to me a few times. I was actually here in LA last time where I was feeling like I was having an out-of-body experience. I was like, am I leaving my body or am I about to plop dead? You know, seriously, because I was just like coffee shop to coffee shop, all this wonderful Justo over there, which I adore, and all these wonderful places.
Yeah.
And then you forget. I'm like, oh my God, I haven't eaten like for 6 hours.
Dude.
And I'm about to collapse. And then it's like as simple as that.
And it's funny because, you know, because I look at what's the energetics underneath coffee. I need to be more productive. It's not good for me to be tired or rest. I need to be thinner and I need to not eat. So the energetics behind why people are consuming them are sometimes those things. Not always. Some people love it. Some people are like, I love the taste. Some people love the taste. They love the experience. They love the ritual. But those energies live in it too.
That is so true. I love the taste. Like, I mean, I grew up in a coffee land.
Totally.
We literally grew up in like inside a coffee farm.
Did you guys have it as kids?
No, I mean, not drinking it. I definitely tried it, but I didn't even like it. I actually liked coffee when I moved to the States. I was like 18 or something. And then I was like, coffee shops, how exciting. And then that gets you. And then like the whole ritual around it, the socializing, the funness, the little escapade from work, whatever it is. But yeah, it's a killer. But it's unbelievable. I get so many messages like, what do? I have panic attacks. I feel like I'm going to plop dead. And I'm like, you must be dehydrated. What are you doing? And it's the same bottom line story. Aside from also, I feel like we're going through a massive spiritual awakening. And I think all these worlds are just overlapping, like,
say more.
That just, I feel like the layers are thinning, the doors are opening. People that have never even considered spirituality in any way are really finding that doorways. Suddenly they feel like they have an out-of-body experience. Aside the just seated meditations, I feel like people are really having spiritual experiences, like right on the sidewalk, in the subway, doing life in whatever way, with their coffee, going to work, and then all of a sudden they like have a downpour of emotional energy and full connection to something. So I do feel like it's that time in human history. The veils are thin. Like, what are you doing? How are you cultivating this is up to you. But doing these things of like not eating, fasting, caffeine, hypermasculinity shuts that down. And then I feel like it just drops in on you and it's not pretty. It's like people talk about Kundalini awakening all the time and it's like, it happens, it's real, but you feel like you short circuit. Like you
the
feel
people
like
that I've met that have had that, they're unwell.
Yeah.
It's like it's not always good.
It's not always good and it's not pretty.
Yeah.
Like you could like faint and be sitting, eating a meal or something somewhere. And it kind of dawns on you. And I think that's what happens with caffeine. Like things get put away. And then at some point it just explodes on you. And it's all with this strange liminal world. And it's kind of all overlapping at the same place in time. It's kind of wild.
Yeah. I felt like, people are more available for spirituality. I feel, I have a hard time. It's funny because like, I don't often tune into the collective. Like I kind of just, I'm not like a narc, but I'm just so in my own experience. Like I don't find tuning into collective energies that helpful because I just am like, we're all in it and all experiencing it. And then I don't know. I don't even know why I'm saying that.
It's true. I feel like it's happening more and more. Like even all these people I see move to the jungle.
Yeah.
And
we're pissed about that.
And I love it in a way. It's really wonderful. The community that develops is very unusual and just interesting. It's just
this is unusual crew.
It really is. It's like really far out people and I love it.
Sure.
And then there's a lot of normal people, like whatever. But I think it's fascinating because that's the common thread. Like these profound spiritual knowings pour into their body. They're like, we have to move. Our family needs this.
Yeah.
And then the husband or the wife, whoever gets the download is like, okay, we're doing this. Let's give it a try. Let's follow that voice.
Yeah.
So I keep hearing story after story, people just following that voice, ending in a place like Costa Rica and having profound spiritual experiences, whether it's plant medicine or just being in the jungle. And it's really far out. It's really cool.
Yeah.
It's like it's happening. It's like I feel like that's nature expressing itself, that things are shifting.
Yeah.
And you just got to follow it. And I think that's powerful. Even if it leads you to that uncoupling place or that non-paradise place.
Totally.
But I feel like the voice is the voice.
Yeah, that's the thing about intuition. It's not always leading you to $1 million and a new car and a new partner. It's like leading you to the greatest next step for your spiritual growth and your spiritual transformation. And that's not always fun. It's not always pretty. But it's interesting because sometimes intuition can lead you away from that.
Okay, if you're a regular listener, if you're an OG, almost 30 nation baby, you've probably heard us rave about Symbiotica's liposomal vitamin C. It is a daily must-have for me. This is supporting my collagen production and boosting immunity. So it's like radiant skin, check. Like not getting sick, check. Their liquid vitamin C packets utilize cutting-edge liposomal technology to deliver better absorption for better results. I love taking supplements in this way. I just notice it is more effective, it tastes amazing, and it's super convenient. And I don't dread taking them. I don't know about you, but I just don't like taking a million pills. And I love the citrus vanilla flavor. It is the best. But Symbiotica is one of the most trustworthy brands out there. We have interviewed the founder, Cheerleading, many times. He is one of our dear friends, and they truly, because we've talked about this with him behind the scenes, they never compromise on quality and sourcing, ever. Their products are free from seed oils, preservatives, toxins, and artificial additives. It's honestly something you can taste in their products. It's so nice to be able to trust a brand. That's why we love partnering with Symbiotica. And we have a special offer just for our listeners. Go to symbiotica.com/almost30 for 20% off plus free shipping. That's symbiotica.com/almost30. That's CYMBIOTIKA.com/almost30 to claim this offer today.
Yeah.
Okay. This is actually something I want to ask you. So a lot of women in our community too, they struggle between what is intuition and what is anxiety. How do you determine and decipher what is the voice of your intuition?
That is so good. I remember being at a Joe Dispenza retreat and seeing very clearly, like, you know how there's this explanation, or he talks a lot about it if whoever follows him, but the high beta brainwave frequency, which is like our anxiety, is right next door to like the gamma brainwave frequency, which is, or even like theta, you have theta, and then gamma is like the field of information. And then anxiety is like literally like the one doorway away to like being in like the space of receivership and information. And it seems like two totally different worlds, but they're like side by side. And you can really feel that in anxiety, because anxiety sometimes is in a world of experiencing the potential of whatever you're imagining. And you're like, okay, this might happen, this might happen. And so you review a million options, and one of them will probably be one of the turnouts. So I do feel like those two doorways are side by side. And I think that's why there's so much confusion, because they literally work together. I remember also being in like profound spiritual, as a side note, meditational states where you are in this like very high, sharp, like frequency. And then all of a sudden you like plop through into this ease and download and true state of receivership. But I feel like as a person that has had anxiety and I have dealt with anxiety many, many times and still do, I do feel like it is a doorway to something. It is saying something. It's very deep and meaningful. So to just shut it down, to me, has not worked. Like to just try to be like, okay, where are my nervines? And I'm going to go into deep rest now. Like sometimes that gives me more anxiety. Like I don't even like massages for that reason. I'm like, makes my anxiety get out of control. So I feel like there's a way to utilize it to your advantage. Like, how can you calm it down enough for you to go into that state of receivership? So there is tools and tricks. I feel like having nervous system restorative teas throughout the day, it's just a nice, easeful, soft toning, field. And you don't feel like you're like relaxed or awake. You're just at ease. And I feel like, again, psilocybin, excellent for that. It just like rounds the edges enough for you to feel like, okay, I need to go do this, this, and this, and that. But you're not like having a heart attack over it, So I do feel like it is a doorway to itself and to each other. Mm-hmm. And it has to be seen in that way. And I also feel like that which gives you anxiety, what do you have to deal with? What do you have to go make decisions about? It's not really what is going to happen. Like, I think there's a deeper trigger in there that needs to be evaluated. Most of the time, that's the case. So yeah, that's how I guess I've been dealing with it. But the brainwave frequency is very similar. They're like side by side. And I thought that was so fascinating how they're so related. Like one leads to the other.
Wow.
It's kind of like melatonin. Mm-hmm. You secrete melatonin after the production of serotonin. So a lot of people consider like serotonin the peak experience of awake, happiness, joy. Then melatonin is when you go to sleep. But no, the whole chemical expression is serotonin and then leads to melatonin. So it kind of like needs it to go there. It's part of the stem.
Wow.
So it's a similar situation where you're like in that frequency and that leads to
the intuition. Wow.
Oh yeah, going back to intuition.
Yeah.
I stuck to anxiety, but but I feel like they're side by side in that way, because melatonin is hyper intuitive in that way too. Like it's when our sleep state, it's when we go into this REM sleep. So that's also kind of like the umbrella. I guess that's what I was associating it.
What do you think about taking melatonin? I feel like I hear mixed things, that it's bad because it's a hormone, and if you take it, you'll stop making it. What do you perceive?
I don't like it at all.
I don't either.
I only do it for emergency purposes. Right?
Fuck
I love
caffeine,
that you don't
fuck
either.
Melatonin.
I mean, it's like all these like hyper extracted things. Number one, I have a thing with. I feel like they're good for the moment. Like if you're traveling and you have major jet lag, or you can't sleep because you're like preparing for a massive project or something. I get it. That week, melatonin, that's fine. But like melatonin gummies every day because they're cute and delicious. I mean, I'm just like,
you know what I have beef with? Gummy vitamins.
Yeah.
How fat are we as a culture that we have to take our vitamins as sugar gummies?
Yeah.
That's disgusting.
It is.
That's so gross.
It really is.
Because then you're also a lot of times having 10 to 12 grams of sugar a day just in gummies.
Yeah, I was laughing that I was seeing like the blood sugar regulating apple cider gummy. I was like, how is this fucking possible?
How?
Like, it makes no sense. You're eating sugar. I don't care what kind of sugar. Makes no sense.
But it has apple cider vinegar.
I'm like, at least put it in sea moss and don't add the sugar.
Yeah. Even there's the sea moss gum. Like, you know, there's just, like all the gummies. I'm like, how do we not see that as counterproductive to what we're trying to do?
Yeah. And that's a whole other thing, because even with herbs, like part of the medicinal action is metabolizing it in your mouth. So if you're popping pills, which can be functional, I do it sometimes myself, but how is that, like, you're bypassing a massive energetic input in your mouth? Like, for example, matcha. It's a wonderful bitter. Coffee, it's a wonderful bitter plant. And it's like, if we're adding even a lot of sugar to it, you're already denaturing like the base fundamental energetic quality, which matcha is a wonderful antioxidant, but the latte style we're having down the street in some lovely place is not really the best way to drink this wonderful medicine, you know? It's kind of like gummy. It's like just so much sugar ends up in it and all these milks and the whatever. Is it being that medicinal anymore? I don't know. But it's the same thing. It just has to happen in the mouth first as its natural source. And I feel like that there's so much laziness to that too. And then grossness because you don't want to taste it because it's a sugar culture. But it's so important. You got to savor. It's like savoring your food. You have to like savor it. That's already igniting all these neurotransmitters that works with your gut and your whole body to do something. I feel like popping pills can be very dangerous in that way.
Yeah. Is there any that you're like, yes, this is okay, and any that you're like, no, do not take this in pill form?
I don't know. I feel like the excess of thinking that we need it all super synthesized, like all these methylated vitamins, which I think are wonderful as well.
Explain what that is.
So methylated is like let's say a digested vitamin. It's like you can assimilate it in your body. It doesn't just become like this raw mineral in synthetic form a lot of times, just sitting in your body unmetabolized. So a lot of times, a lot of people are buying those vitamins, which is that is really next level terrible for your body. There's wonderful like biohacker dudes and dudettes talking about this all over the place, and I appreciate it because at least for the synthetic vitamin world, you're at least eating something that's in the highest form possible, which is methylation. But how about the herbs that are already igniting methylation on a DNA level? You know, like, why aren't people talking about those herbs that have been used for thousands of years? This just didn't have the terminology of methylation, but they definitely did know they were working on a deep genetic DNA level at that time. So I feel like that needs to be brought in more, even that. Because again, all these pills, I'm like, where is it really coming from? How is it really made? Does it have fillers? What are the fillers? It's not even in the ingredient list. Kind of gives me a little, like, I never fully trust it.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think that's best.
Yeah.
To not trust it. Like, I don't trust anybody.
Yeah, like, do we need hyperdoses of glutathione?
Dude.
Like, do we need
Not
IV?
me injecting that literally 3 days ago. And I looked at my skin and I was like, I'm a baby glass critter. I was just like, I was glowing. I'm like,
really?
But I don't know if I need it.
That sounds awesome.
It was awesome. But like a lot of it is, it's like, do we need this? Like, do we not? Like, what is?
Yeah.
Because I think now too, it's like working with being young, younger and like.
I just wonder the chemical residue. So let's say it gives you that baby, young, beautiful glow. Like, where is the residue going? There is definitely something not being assimilated within this like liquid cocktail.
That's very true.
Like, and that's my concern more than anything.
For sure.
But I do feel like if you're deficient in a specific way, that you could use boosting over a specific period of time.
Yeah.
I think that's wonderful. But again, for how long?
For sure. Yeah, I think therapeutic cycles, therapeutic testing, retesting is really good. What would be a toolkit? Like, what would be your toolkit for a woman that is living in a city? She's working like a corporate 9-to-5 job. She feels burnt out. She wants to find purpose. And she's just really looking for like that next step to have more meaning and spirituality and like purpose in her life?
Wow, I love it. What a juicy question.
I'm channeling.
I want to hear it too. Like
I'm channeling our audience.
I know, it's so true. I feel like that's such a multi-faceted question.
Yeah.
I do
like move out of the city.
yeah, leave the city.
Yes.
Even though I think the city's wonderful. It is definitely stressful place, especially for the women that are like trying to be fertile. A lot of the times, like just the ecology of the place is honestly one of the main reasons. Like the body just doesn't settle. It doesn't settle in the environment, and I think that's a big one.
To not getting pregnant.
Yeah, I feel like just the stress of the grid is real. Like even like on a neurotoxin level, like we were talking about, like just being around so many Wi-Fi antennas. You can be in your meditation pillow and having a great time, but just being exhibited to all these antennas and frequencies all the damn time, that definitely like hyper unregulates your nervous system, which is so tied to your fertility. I feel like those go hand in hand, like that deep set. Of course, there's other factors. But I would say taking the time to really taking care of yourself and what that means for you. So for me, preparing my food and my medicinal herb-rich meals is a big one. That really gives me like, I've accomplished something in life. I feel successful. So like meal prep twice a week, as much as possible, making your broths, keeping it in the fridge, and just knowing that you're shooting your broth every morning before your crazy caffeine reality if you can't get off of that. Or boosting your coffee. How can you really boost your coffee with other things that regulate your nervous system and your adrenals and the whole situation? So for example, right there, I love medicinal mushrooms for that reason. I know a lot of people know about mushroom coffee, but the idea is that you're at least preventing the massive spike in your blood sugar by adding mushrooms. So I guess curbing all these little daily habits.
Like putting guardrails on them, supporting. Yeah. It is. That's the thing. When you're living in a city, you're kind of, most of the biohacking is spent allowing you to live in the space, not even thrive.
Yeah.
Like I'm in front of my red light thing every day. If I had sun and just went out in the sun, I wouldn't need it.
Do you love the red light therapy? Do you feel the true success from it?
I love how do you feel the true success from it? I love that. It was like you're like a foreigner and they're like ESL. You're like, do you experience the true success of that? You're like Borat.
Sounds terrible.
You're literally Borat. Does that true success?
Do you feel like it works?
Great success.
Okay. Do you feel like it works?
You're like, girl, you feel like it works? I do. I feel like I do experience the true success of it. I feel like my skin is thick and it has good collagen, and I feel like it supports my fine lines.
Awesome. Yeah, your skin looks amazing.
Thanks. Amazing. I feel like, it works. It's the glutathione in that. But
yeah. I like glutathione like once a year if I feel like I'm in that phase where I'm like, okay, I really aged because I've been so freaking stressed. Then I think it makes sense.
That's so true.
So I think boosting those IVs like once in a while, or excellent quality methylated vitamins, which they're definitely out there. But again, timelines, not the forever pill, not the forever IV. I know people in New York City that are doing IVs every month and a half, and I'm like, well, your body's not even like receiving it.
This is where we're simpatico. I hate IV culture. I hate it. I think it's so invasive and gross. And this is, you guys can do it. Do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Not here to say and tell you to do it. I'm just here to talk on this microphone and you're listening. I think it's just invasive. I think it's intense. I think it's too much. I think it's just like, I understand it's a great way to receive the vitamins from that level, but I just don't like it. There's something weird about it.
I agree. And that's where I feel like the sediment, like I was saying, like where does that go? There, of course, has to be a leftover that your body cannot digest. And that's where I get a little freaked out about it, overdoses. So, yeah,
like becoming toxic almost.
Yeah.
I feel like there's like a toxicity or a toxicity load that your body is taking in. And like how clean is it? Like what's the quality of what kind of stuff we're working with? I just think you can get it from somewhere else and you don't have to have it IV'd in.
I agree. Like a lot of vegetables have glutathione naturally. Yes, my minuscule amounts, but why did nature do that? Like, why did nature make all these fruits with like trace amounts of glutathione and copper and, folate or whatever people want? And I feel like that has to be followed. Pattern of nature has to be followed. Mega doses yield also a certain result. And I don't know if it's technically good. We're so new in the game of it in history, in human history. I don't really know what's going to happen like 20 years from now, the results of like macro doses of IVs, you know?
Macro doses of everything.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to do quick fire. How you would solve the feeling of being alone, like loneliness.
The feeling of being alone.
Of like loneliness. I think as a mom, you're probably like, I want to be alone. So like loneliness.
To the highest level.
Yes. Yeah, literally. I'm like, try and tap into loneliness a little bit.
I'm like, I'm dying to be alone for
dude, honestly. You're like, I literally kick back and enjoy.
That's so funny because last time I was in LA, I went to go to the movie theater alone. And I haven't done that in my entire life, nor do I like movie theaters or anything, but it was the Sound of Freedom movie and everyone was talking about it. So I was like, I'll just do this to distract myself. And I loved being alone. But I feel like solitude and alone, right? Two different things. So being alone, even if you are a mom with kids and having an unsupportive partner or something, and you feel that loneliness that you have like zero support in your life, like that is serious. Even when you're around a lot of people, or true loneliness where you feel like you don't have friends, you live alone, you know, you don't have a real community, or if people feel flaky or gaslighty and that kind of stuff. That's really hard. And I feel like, again, where can you go to places where community feels like that kind of grassroots, wonderful? That's something I love about Costa Rica. People are kind of like in it together. We're kind of like, you know, even like clothing exchanges and potlucks. And it feels like a little more of that culture. I feel like I don't see that in the States at all. Even if it's people that don't relate to each other at all. Can be totally different ethical principles, whatever they live. But there is this like, we're in it together and let's just show up. Or kids' play dates are a great excuse for parents not feeling like they're going to lose their mind. So you kind of show up to the play date like dreading because you don't want to necessarily connect with the parents. But then you're like, well, you know, we're a community. We're supporting each other. They can babysit my kid for a bit or whatever. And so I feel like that showing up to the right place is huge. Showing up to places where it feels empty, soulless. It's all about what you look, how much money you make or whatever it is. Obviously, it's like, I would never show up to places like that. I don't care at all. Like, I don't give a shit about reputation and showing up because I have to. Only if it's a family. Family is the only maybe thing you're like,
There's a line though, sometimes with family, I'm like, I'm not actually enjoying this or having fun or getting anything from it.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
yeah. How about you? I would love to hear your answer to that question.
For loneliness? I oftentimes feel like people have the feeling of loneliness because they're playing a role. And I always think about it from a parts perspective. So there's a part of them that's over-indexing, that's being expressed in the world, perfectionist, worker, whatever that part is. And then the other system or the other aspects of that person are being expressed. So it feels lonely for these other aspects of themselves. And then also I feel like there's a truth of what I've been working with loneliness recently is that it's an illusion to be lonely because it's part of like the ego's idea of separation. And so when I'm really tuned into the truth, I'm infinitely connected to myself, my higher self, to everybody. So I've been really working with like the illusion of the ego thinking that I'm lonely or thinking that I'm separate. Because I've for sure experienced like deep loneliness, you know, in my life. And also I just kind of see it as like part of my spiritual experience on earth. Like being a human, sometimes I don't feel human in a lot of ways. And so it's kind of what it is. Like in this dense body, in this dense experience, we're meant to experience separation, but then remember that it's an illusion. So it's just par for the course a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I love those spiritual concepts. And then, you know, it's hard to integrate that when you're actually experiencing it. Like kind of like the ego.
Hey, man. Hey, man. You're like, I love that. And then you feel fucking lonely and that literally pisses people off. It's so real. I literally said that to one of my clients today. I was like, part of the work that sucks is I have to say cliches because they're really true and you have to hear them at times where you don't want to hear them.
Yeah.
But it's so real. So what do I really do when I feel lonely?
Exactly. Like I get it. The ego is living this strange experience and everything's an illusion.
Shut the fuck up. I feel lonely.
Because that's a real thing right now.
I think it's the phone time. Mm-hmm. You know, it's the phone time. I felt lonely the other day and I had to have the perspective shift of like, okay, I'm lonely, but what am I doing right now? Mm-hmm. I was sitting on my couch. I had to be real. I'm sitting on my couch in my sweatshirt. I'm watching Emily in Paris. It's Saturday at 7 p.m. This is a fucking dream. I was like, dude, I actually don't want to be doing anything else. But, you know, you could feel lonely in places or spaces. And I'm not giving good advice for this. But because I can't help but think about mindset stuff and stuff that's like not grounded in reality.
Well, it sounds like you also have a deep emotional relationship with your friends. Like the processing, like you were saying, I feel like that's huge. Really letting yourself be shown.
Be seen.
Be seen.
Yeah, it's almost, you know, that's a great point. So what I would say is in the time of emergency, do what you said. So it's if you're feeling lonely, go to the community, go to the things, put yourself in situations. Mm-hmm. But when you're not feeling lonely is when you really can work on supporting yourself when you do feel lonely. Mm-hmm. So kind of like supporting yourself enough in becoming self and becoming centered, developing deep relationships where when you do need them, mm-hmm. they're there. Mm-hmm. So when you have, you know, those really healthy relationships with people, I could call them and be like, I feel very lonely. Mm-hmm. But I just don't know if you feel like this. I feel like for a lot of people though, other people doesn't always satisfy their feeling of loneliness. Mm-hmm. So that's my thing is I've been with a lot of people and I've had a lot of friends, but I've still felt lonely. So it's not always people and connection that satisfies feeling of loneliness. Mm-hmm. I would say, I feel like it's our dismissal of ourselves and our dismissal of our truth and our avoidance of parts of us that make us feel lonely because we deny the truth of who we are or we deny our own experience or we judge and criticize and shame ourselves. So we feel lonely because we've fractured ourselves so much.
Yeah. Something I've seen.
Imagine me high. It's crazy.
I want to do it. Let's do it.
Okay, let's do it. I don't know if you want to.
Go on the longest beach hike ever and see dolphins.
Let's do it.
Great.
Okay.
Can't believe there's dolphins in LA, by the way. It's pretty far out.
Is that weird?
It is.
Because of the warmth? What?
I mean, the toxicity, I am like shocked. I think it's kind of cool. I know dolphins sometimes are in like bad waters, but still, this is a pretty, intensive bay if you think about it.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised.
Cool. Welcome.
But the loneliness I've also seen on a shamanic level is very much associated to tristeza, which a lot of people, it's different. Tristeza translates to sadness, but it's a different kind of sadness. It's a sadness of not belonging anywhere, a feeling like there's really nowhere, no one, no nothing for you. And a lot of this shamanic analysis or in curanderismo, it's associated to prenatal trauma, like even pre-verbal trauma, which I know a lot of people are also diving deep with that in the whole traumatic, release world. But it's so deep because I have very dear friends that have had that, like no sense of belonging. And before I was always like, what do you mean? You just don't make much of it. I'm very like, doesn't matter, just keep going, which is definitely obviously not the cure whatsoever. But I do feel like regression therapy or soul retrieval type therapy is mind-boggling powerful because you go to the moments before you were even born that you can even see the archetypes of the story before you came out that ignited these experiences chemically, biologically, emotionally, anything. It could even be big hits. I'm working with this incredible neural doctor that even big hits to the belly of the mother, like accidents or fights, abuse, has created literally different chemistry because of big hits, to the baby in the womb and such like that. So I feel like even finding that and knowing that and finding the resolution of that is like unbelievably healing. Wow. For that real in-depth sadness, loneliness, where it's not about where you go, who's your friend.
Yeah.
how many kids you have, whatever.
It's part of this. I think it's a very spiritual thing. I think the most spiritual people have felt and touched that loneliness of that, like, what is this thing? Because the world doesn't make sense, is so sick, is so weird, and how disconnected we are from nature. It makes sense. You know what I mean? It makes sense that we all feel so lonely.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not going to do all of them now because we are not being good about quickfire. Okay. How would you solve feeling lost? Like in life where you're like, I don't have purpose. I feel lost.
Feeling lost in purpose, that's a big one. And it hits home because a very close person to me is in like a very suicidal place with that right now because of seriously lack of purpose. So it really makes me like, wow, I'm really thinking about that person. I don't know. I feel like, again, it really traces back to that loneliness and really taking out the root elements in your soul that are creating that experience. And your conscious mind probably has no clue what's going on. Deep subconscious reprogramming has to happen. And hardcore therapies is what eradicates that feeling. I feel like, of course, plant medicine is a big one that I've loved since I've been doing it since I'm like, 15 years old, and I adore it. But it's not for everybody, especially in deep depressive states. It can definitely make it go very, very sideways. But I don't know, other therapies that are just like powerful shamanic therapies where you're just like working with a true healer and then they're just like whacking those spirits out of your body, like truly, like you're releasing entities and attachments from your system that has, and even the negative thought pulsates the existence of these like parasitic feelings and entities. So I feel like that's where you have to really go through that like soul retrieval regression. Same story. I feel like it's the same backbone.
Yeah, I love that. I think for my feeling of lost, I think a lot of times people feel lost because they're trying to follow someone else's blueprint. Like wake up in the morning, you're like doing your thing and clear, and then you look at Instagram, and you're like, I'm lost. I don't know where I'm going. And so time offline, time off social media. Having acceptance for everything as it is. I think that practice of like, I accept my body as it is in this now moment. I accept my career, just that full radical acceptance, I think is really good.
That's a good one, radical acceptance.
So sometimes lost is like the best place to be because it's the most egoless way to be because we don't really know anyways. So lost is like the truth.
And it's definitely like a byproduct of capitalism in a big way.
Talk that talk.
I feel like indigenous cultures are coexisting with nature, chop wood, carry water type of reality, yet in a very profound ceremonial way, doing everything that they're doing, whether it's harvesting animals in a mindful way, the whole thing. And they're not like in this purpose trap. They're not thinking like, what am I here to do in life every day? It's just like this natural coexistence with living and breathing and being and photosynthesizing just like nature does. And there is no purpose. It's such a different story when you speak to people like that. They're not caught in this like highly productive, over commercialized capitalistic mindset as like, what are you supposed to do? And how is that going to give you a living?
I'm obsessed with that. Yeah, it's been co-opted where I think a lot of people are like, I need to find my purpose. And it's like, I need to get on stage and help people, and it's like, okay, who says that?
Yeah.
Like purpose is motherhood, purpose is love, purpose, you know what I mean? It's like so much simpler than that. If this episode was to come out in maybe like 3 months, what's one thing you want to tell your future self?
Future self, embodying more of the feminine principle, receiving, not overdoing, overbeing, overcreating, just like really step back, enjoy, be of support to others, and just enjoy the process.
Wow. Just had some spirit arrivals happen when you said that. I'll hold you accountable.
Fire alarm, go on.
Yes, honestly. The fire alarm will hold you accountable. That's the whole thing. Well, I love you. I'm so grateful. This was such a I do these a lot, but it was just like such a pleasure. This was such a delightful conversation and sitting with you. And I just respect you and what you do. And I know how integrity you are. Like, I use and love your products. I love the store. The deck, the Herbal Astrology deck, like I was talking about, is like my favorite deck I've ever owned easily. It's so,
thank you.
It's so unique and powerful, and just everything you do is so transformative. So thank you for all that you do.
You're amazing with your communication. Thank you.
Oh yeah.
You're a true channel, and I know everyone loves hearing you, and I love it.
Aww.
It's one of the few podcasts that I actually put on and I listen to and really love it.
Dude, the real G's. Yeah. Okay, guys, we love you. We'll see you soon. Bye. Thank you so much, Adriana. Again, that's Adriana Ayales of Anima Mundi, a brand that we love. You can use code ALMOST30 to get 15% off any of their incredible products at animamundiherbals.com.
Thank you all for listening. You're the best. As always, we're so excited in 2025 to share our book with you all. So get ready. Your girls are going back on tour. Until then, follow us on Instagram at Almost 30 Podcast, same on TikTok, and be sure to subscribe on YouTube. Your girls are in their fits on YouTube. We love you.
We love you guys. We'll see you soon.
Bye.